My name is Rod Van Blake, author of the Ancient Illumination series as well as the Umbani Chronicles. I am joined once again by Andrea Rose Washington.
Hello.
She is the author of Adalithia, Elendil's Magic, Elendil and Almond Tree's Magic. Sorry about that. And we are also joined by Jordan Purnell Jackson.
Hey, everybody.
Jordan is the creator of Eve of Insurrection and Eve of Reclamation. He's also the illustrator and graphic artist for the Ancient Illumination graphic novels, as well as the Umbani Chronicles comic coming out soon. And he also did the illustration for Arrow J. Knight's Jericho's Bane. Today, we are talking about Prey. Recently released on Hulu, I believe on August 5th. No, not that Prey.
Come on.
Prey, the Predator prequel, basically, starring Amber Midthunder as the lead character Naru, Dakota Beavers as Tabe, her brother, a Comanche Native American tribe. Stormy Kip is Wasape. Dame Delia Negro, I think, plays the Predator. And they had a cultural advisor, Jan Myers, who is Comanche and Blackfoot. Interesting film. Spoiler alert, if you have yet to watch this romp into the sci-fi genre that goes back to the Great Plains in 1719. This was an interesting one for me. It was very visual. Different from the other Predator films that I think most of them took place. Aside from the first one, a majority of the time it was at night. When you initially go into the jungle in the original Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger,
It started at night.
that is like the daytime. But most of the fighting and stuff that starts happening later on is all at night, I believe. What did you guys think of this one?
Andrea?
Okay, so I liked it.
Okay.
I didn't love it.
Mm.
I'll say this: it's not my least favorite Predator universe movie, but it's not my favorite Predator universe movie. There are things I just didn't agree with, only just because I couldn't personally connect to the character like I wanted to, and so I didn't really care who lived and died in this one. Unlike some other AVP ones, I was proud of her. I was like, do it, get the job done, girl power, love it, because she was smart. I liked the character, but I just didn't connect with her to the point where I was like, I'm proud of you. I'm like, yeah, you lived. I'm like proud that you outlived the guys, but like at the same time, I wasn't sitting on the edge of my seat for this one like I thought I would. I liked some of the aspects. I liked learning about a primitive predator. I liked how they referenced the first Predator movie with her like sidestepping the Predator when he was invisible. Same thing with Arnold Schwarzenegger was on the tree and like the Predator was right behind him but didn't know. Like I liked how they referenced other Predator movies. I liked how we got to see a ancient Predator. But for this one, I don't know. Like I could watch it again, but I would probably fast forward through some parts.
Okay. You told us you do that a lot.
Yeah.
I pulled Andrea for a different movie. Though.
Yeah, I liked this a lot, mainly because it was visually different. The context of the story, even though it had a lot of similarities, was very different from what we usually get. The protagonist, I think, did an awesome job. The context of everything made sense to me. Because initially, when you're looking at this, when I saw the trailers, I'm like, come on now, like this makes absolutely no sense. There's no way in hell this person would be able to beat a predator. But when you think about it,
you saying Native American people can't fight?
No, it's not that. I'm in any circumstance. The one that came out in '86 didn't make sense for Arnold Schwarzenegger. If we're being honest,
it didn't make sense when you said
if we're
like this doesn't make sense.
The context I'm speaking of because of the time and the mentality of the people that would have been here in the 1700s like her own people were underestimate her. And that's really the reason why she wins. It's not because she's stronger and she's as big and as badass as the Predator. It's that he constantly underestimates her and just nullifies her as a threat. Because she even mentioned, and she mentions that. She's like, that's why I will win. Go ahead, Andrea.
So, funny thing, I sort of knew you were going to say something about this, and I agree, because there was a part where you see that she studies how it fights, and no one else, and the only way she can do that is because he underestimates her, and he goes after all the other fighters first, so she can sort of study how he fought, and that's like the only reason she survived, because if she had went up against him the same way as the people from her tribe did, she would have been wiped out immediately if she didn't get caught in that trap and see that he didn't really care when she was trapped. She would have died. She would have died in that moment. So I agree. It was because he didn't really view her as a full adversary the entire time is the only reason she survived, because she got to explore. She got to study him and learn, okay, that's how I have to survive, because I'm not going to survive any other way. So, no, I agree.
He was smart.
Yeah, that and the factor of the perceived gender norms of the area, where even the rest of the Comanche are turning like, yo, you can't be out here hunting. Just grab some herbs, do some medicine.
Yeah, you're not gonna be out here long enough to cook. I'm like, whoa, come on, guys. I watched.
Go ahead, Jordan.
I was looking at like all the other movies, and I'm like, oh, there's a lot of dumb man jokes in all these movies, and this one had the lightest dosage of like dumb, crazy, just things that men say. It's like, this is improving. Because they've said, all right, I don't want it to get censored.
Wasabi was tripping.
Wasabi was tripping, but like if you watch the Predators from 2010, the white dude that was like the prisoner was saying crazy stuff.
Lawrence Fishburne?
No. Oh no, Lawrence Fishburne's character was crazy in that movie. He was talking to another person, but there was like a white guy who was like a prisoner.
Oh, the one who was actually.
He was saying wild stuff about it's 5 o'clock. He's saying the R word, and people are like, bro, like, and then like it's just very like all the Predator movies are very like hyper masculine. Man, it was like, we're gonna go in, we're gonna blow stuff up, we're gonna show muscles. Just showing a bunch of muscles in the first movie for no reason at all. Just eye candy. Why are we looking at this? Aren't we supposed to be fighting predators? And so you see, it's like this is why I really enjoy this movie, because it reinforces the point of all the movies that like just being just strong is never going to. You're never going to survive against a predator just trying to use brute force.
Yeah.
And this movie leans very much into that our main character Naru, she's using her knowledge of plants, she's using strategy, she's using these different type of weapons, and just like outsmarting the predator, which is what we always see in every movie. You have to outsmart the predator, and that's how the movie kind of follows that formula.
And like basically use their technology against them, because
exactly every time.
In this one and in Predator and in I don't think this Predator 2 we saw it as much, but like on the in the movie Predators, when they're on the planet, we see them all sort of use fire to like hide their body heat, to go back to some type of primitive nature to defeat the Predator, because if they ever try to use whatever technology that they have currently, it always fails against them.
Yeah.
So yeah. Go ahead.
The funny part was in Predators, the Predators clearly like learned from Arnold Schwarzenegger's tactics, and like when Adrian Brody's character is covered in mud, he can't see him, but like he has a way to actually detect his like heartbeat, and so you see like the vibration of like his heart. And I was like, ooh, I like how you see like the Predators evolving, like you see all of that in each iteration of the movie. And in this one, I mean, we're obviously going back in time, so we're getting that primordial, just raw, I'm going to be hunting wolves and animals. How did you like that? What'd you say?
He used like metal rods. It's like bows.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he got crossbows that kind of follow.
Yeah. Cool. It's like, oh, this is interesting. It's funny because like, so one of my favorite movies is AVP. the one with Annihilate Them from like 2004 or something like that. I think it was that year it came out. And they have like a shot where they go back in time to see like when they first came, and you see the Predators in still the same type of technological advanced armor, but then to actually see this movie take place like around that time, further back, well maybe not as far back as from AVP, but to see like he was using almost like a bones helmet.
That seemed to be like a skull, like a partial skull of something else he had hunted.
But it was
strong.
The technological stuff was all, I guess, on the inside of it, but on the outside, like a weird, like it looked like an animal skull almost, some type of animal. Obviously, it wasn't an animal here, on Earth. It was from somewhere else he had hunted. That was really cool. It was a visually striking film to me in a lot of different ways. How it was familiar yet slightly different. So his weapons were cool.
They were.
One of my favorite parts, though, of this one was when he started dog walking the French frontiersmen, and it went from like slight, action, sci-fi, horror film to almost comedy. It was. Especially when he walks up on them, and they're all trying to shove the sticks down on the
gunpowder and sticks. Yeah, I'm like, y'all goofy.
Like muskets and flintlock pistols. I'm like, oh. Evangeline Lacey says AVP is my favorite as well. Prey was all kinds of awesome.
Hey,
AVP is amazing.
Yeah.
The French hunters. Sorry, they were probably seeing them die was probably the best part of this movie for me, because they were just very rude, and I hated all of them from like the moment.
I didn't know what they were saying. I was like,
I knew when they said woman,
savage and idiot. That's all I could see.
And then I knew when old boy said shit, when he said merde, when he knew he was caught. That was the only thing I understood. And I was kind of frustrated because I had watched it a second time with the Comanche dub, so you can hear the Comanche language spoken. And I was hoping that the French would be in subtitles too, but it gave me subtitles, but it was still in French. I was like,
yeah. I was like, we still don't know what they're saying. I was like, dang. I was like, they really putting us in the world. Like, we don't know what French people are saying. Okay, great.
I always watch with subtitles, and I was watching it with subtitles, and the French subtitles came up, and I was just waiting for the English ones to be under it. Like there was just, I'm like, I have no way of knowing what these people are saying right now, except I have to like stop, pause, take a photo or whatever, write it down and do it. Because like I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't speak French. I should learn another language, but French was not one of them.
Yeah. One of the dopest thing I think about this also is contextually how they had an actual cultural advisor on the film to kind of make sure that things was all right. Because we always, think of and talk about how so many groups in movie and television get like misrepresented, and if you're a part of whatever community is being depicted, can look at it and be like, we wouldn't have said nothing like that, or we wouldn't have did nothing like that. And they took a better approach to, when you're going to depict people, have somebody on staff, have somebody there that can check and make sure that you're depicting things properly. And I can't attest to how proper that was, because obviously I'm not within that community, but I'm glad they had somebody on deck to do that. This was the first one, I think, the only one of the few films with the majority of Native American indigenous people cast in most.
Yeah, they only had one guy. They had Billy in the first movie. He's the only native guy. I was like, oh, Billy, come on, my man, Billy.
Yeah, he didn't last.
Billy,
he was the one who took
Billy pulled out the machete and was like
ran, yeah.
And then dies just for no. He just dies. He's just nothing. They did my Native American brother dirty.
Yeah, they did Billy dirty. Left him. He stood there. I think he kind of knew what was happening too. He's like,
right, the whole time.
Like, because he looks into the air like, yeah, come get me. It's a wrap. Like I said, I do think this was a visually stunning film. The vistas, the shots that we get, the cinematography of it. I like the way the action was shot. Really cool when the French frontiersmen tried to set the trap for the predator, and you have the smoke and ash come in, reacting off of his armor, kind of negating his camouflage briefly, and you see him kind of flickering in that reddish orange color. It was a I like a lot of the things that they did here visually with this film. How about you guys?
It was a great way of seeing also the differences in how they are attacking the problem. Because like quote unquote the problem, because Naru knows that he's not going to come after them because they're tied to a tree and they're not viewed as an adversary. They're just viewed as prey. You know, they don't. He doesn't want that, and so it's like we can see everything that you set up. You burnt down this forest. You had these people tied. You bled the brother. You did all of this work to get the predator there, and yet every single one of your plans failed.
Yeah,
and
miserably.
miserably. And it almost goes to show like he knew what you were doing because he wasn't coming for the people tied to the tree because that's not a hunt for him.
No. She even mentions at the Tabe, like he doesn't hunt like that.
Yeah. And I have to say, I like the brother in this movie because he, regardless of the fact, because I don't think he fully believed her, but he believed that she believed she saw something. And so it was more of like, he was like, I trust you, and I know whatever you saw is scary. But in his mind is like, I can't put the words to it because there's nothing for me to reference. Yeah. And I noticed it's something they do in a lot of Predator movies. In the second one, when when he was trying to find the who was killing everyone, no one really believed it was something bigger than, who's gonna believe it's an alien. In Requiem, actually no, Requiem they all found at the same time. In the most recent one, the Predators, the army sergeant sees the alien, and while the government conspiracy people know what's going on, like he's made to believe no one believes him. Same thing with the people on the bus. Like when he says it's an alien, they all laugh at him at first, and so she's like, "This is something bigger. It's crazy. It's creepier. It's scarier. It's dangerous." And everyone else would laugh at her, but her brother's like, "Look, it's probably a bear or a lion. I know it's something. I believe you when you say there's something out there, but there's nothing to reference in his mind of saying it could be an alien."
Right. Yeah. He have no reference for that at that point.
Yeah.
And then
and I like that. He didn't mock her.
He was a good brother. He was a good like that and that's I like their relationship. Like this is like a good to see like an actual believable brother and sister bond. And I felt like when we got to that point where in every Predator movie the main character has to lose someone they care about, this is the moment that like I actually believed it. Because when Donald Glover lost his partner, I was like, oh, that was whack.
Yeah.
Did Arnold lose?
He lost when he did the whole little grip with.
Yeah. You son of a bitch.
Rewatching that movie.
I did not realize it's been so long since I saw that movie before I rewatched it for this that I forgot that whole meme came from that.
Yeah, I forgot the meme. I was like, that's where the meme came from. I'm like, buff man arms. I'm like, yo. Dudes is like, oh my god, look at these buff arms. Like, who is this for, dude? Like, come on, bro. But yeah, I just really like their dynamic, and when we finally get to the unfortunate moment, Tabe he gets his moments, like when him and his sister are fighting together. I'm like, oh, well, this is nice. Like him like throwing Predator's staff through him was like, oh, that looked like that hurt. How you gonna get up from this, buddy?
then my boy was shooting arrows and then running up to him, taking them out of him, and then re-shooting them back in. He was giving them that work.
He was.
He was giving them that work before homie pulled the reptile from Mortal Kombat and disappeared on him.
Oh yeah, grabbed it, and then this was like, come on.
Another fun fact about that, Amber Midthunder, who played Naru, is the daughter of David Midthunder, and David Midthunder voiced Nightwolf in Mortal Kombat 3. I don't know if y'all know about that. So it's kind of come full circle because in MK9, the Predator came into Mortal Kombat as a guest character in that game. So that's kind of a weird circle of life type thing where it's kind of come back around.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was giving him that work. And even when I watched it, I don't think I might have missed it the first time I watched it. But does he scream cheater in English?
No, I didn't
In the
think
Comanche version, if you watch
it
the
said
subtitles,
cheater.
when Predator disappears, Tabe jumps up and screams cheater.
I
He's
thought
like,
because I remember in the English version, I noticed where obviously there's moments where like they will jump into the Comanche language, like they'll say a word, and
yeah.
I was like, I paid attention to that when it was in Comanche because I'm like, wait, I don't recall him saying that word in English. That would have stuck into my mind, but I was like,
Yeah.
oh wow, it's it's more nuanced. It's so interesting.
Yeah,
It's so good.
I
So
remember
good.
thinking that when it happened, like, man, you was getting whooped at that point, and
Yeah.
then you decided to, you throw out the trap card and then reverse the game on him. But you was getting worked.
Oh, did anybody else laugh at Homeboy who could speak Comanche when he probably dead?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he would have
Oh,
survived if he hadn't screamed.
No.
right. He stepped on. Ah, like you dumbass.
She
Like
gave
you're
him
done.
the orange plant, the orange leaves to slow his blood and to make his body colder, so he wouldn't be able to track him that way.
Also, I found that to be a way more believable foil to the Predator than mud. I don't know if I don't know the exact scientific properties of mud, but I was like, this orange plant stuff that actually lowers your body's temperature makes more sense as a way to foil a predator with their infrared vision than just throwing mud on your body. Unless mud has a way to insulate your body or something. Then I'm
Well,
like,
it
this
depends on
is
the temperature of the water in the mud. If it's obviously
cold
cooler
mud.
than your 98 degrees, and you
Oh, that
because
got me there. Okay, never
like if
mind.
you're
I'll
fully
take you on
immersed
that.
in mud,
I'll take you on that ride. If the mud's cold enough,
yeah, that
then
would
you'll
be
be
the thing.
cold.
Is it cold enough to make that
It's
feasible? Then
cold.
yeah. If not, if you just got some hot ass mud on you, then
You're just a little flame.
You're just hot all the time. Okay, cold mud does the trick. All right, I just believe it was cold mud, but I really like that they kind of I like also how they kind of set up the orange plant. Like they constantly kind of remind us before she even uses it on him that like this is what it does. This
yeah.
is what it's for. So we understand the logic of how it'll be used later. So I thought small things like that were really cool. Oh, the dog was adorable. It's nice to see a
Sorry,
woman and a dog and not just a man, a white man and his dog. So I was like, okay, got a little doggy doing stuff.
sorry was cool.
Sorry.
I was a little upset she went back for the dog.
Because you wouldn't have went back for the
I
dog,
would
correct?
go
Of
back.
course. Of course.
I'm
Of
so
course.
sorry, people. I like dogs. I do. But when it comes to like life and death situations,
But that dog was with her to the end. That's messed up,
I
Andre. That
know,
dog helped
I
fight
know,
that bear.
I
And you
know,
gonna leave your dog hanging? That's messed up.
I understand that I am dead inside. I understand that that is not the answer most people want to hear. But if it was an answer, if it was like, I feel like in every horror movie or something like that, the girl who always goes back for her little dog or whatever dies, and
Yeah.
so she's like, why did you go back for the dog? Like I understand he's your companion, but like the love.
You act like the dog
Like,
was useless, Andre. You act like the dog was useless.
I
The
didn't
dog
say it
wasn't
was
useless.
useless. I didn't
But
say that it was
that's
useless.
when you don't go back for the dog. When the dog's just like a little Pomeranian that does nothing, leave that Pomeranian. But sorry was doing work. That's like family. You
No,
don't
like he
leave.
took the bear away. He led the bear away from
Yes,
her.
That's
exactly.
hilarious.
Yes.
Yes, like
That
I
was hilarious when he came back.
understand that that dog put in work, but at the same time, I don't know, which is why I don't have pets. I don't know how I would go back.
Even as a cat man, I'm not leaving that dog. That was a very useful dog.
Just
Yeah, the dog had me rolling, especially with the bear chase scene. And it was like in my mind, the dog was like, "This run," because he comes back around and she's like
Got
looking
it.
like, "What's happening?" And the dog, and he's barking, and he just runs down the way like, "What do you know where he's running from? What are you standing there for?" That was hilarious. But yeah, the dog was cool. The dog would disappear at weird times to me too. 'Cause when she almost got herself in the little quicksand or mud trap or whatever the hell she had.
Oh yeah, he dipped off. Like,
He was gone, and like he shows up like hours later, obviously, because she's like drying her clothes after washing out, and she's like, "There you are." She's like, "What I miss?" Like you missed
I mean,
almost
I
dying.
can she did trim.
And it was cool to have her go through those things too, because you see them. She uses her experiences, like recent experiences, to come up with like a game plan for the end to beat the Predator in the end. We don't. I mean, we see her. The only thing I kind of it's a nitpick again is people are going to probably call her Mary Sue. Like, where did she learn how to knife fight? Because we see her go to work with the axe, and she's practicing trying to get the rabbits, and then later on she gets like a whole gang of rabbits to cook up for dinner, and then she comes up with the cool vine to tie to the handle of her tomahawk, and she's she can retrieve it. But when she goes back for sorry and starts just mollywopping
the daytime fight scene.
Yeah, the daytime fight scene where she starts taking knives from them. She's sticking knives in people's hands. She's fighting 2 and 3 people at the same time. I was like, whoa, like I want to know where did Pops train her for this? And not
yes, Pops trained her. Pops trained her.
And her brother trained. Because when she went up to people from her own tribe, she was throwing hands.
Yeah,
she would have won. I think she would have won.
She would have won at Homeboy not pushed her at the end.
Yeah.
When she was fighting Wasabi. What's his name? Wasabi.
Yeah.
Was that when the guys are trying to take her back and
yeah.
She did that little cheap shot. I was like, come on, bro.
Yeah, old boy turned her around and pushed her into the punch.
Yeah, into the punch.
I was like, that was when she went down.
I was like, you trash.
You couldn't handle that on your own. Like, you head up, you lost, homie.
Yeah.
You lost, homie. Take that L. I take that L.
Yeah,
but don't nitpick, Rod. You can't nitpick that one. All the dude, I look at Naru's character in comparison to like all the previous main characters, and it's like all of them were really dumb in the sense of like, you really gonna just shoot through this? This isn't working at all. Why are we wasting bullets? This woman came through, used plants in hand-to-hand combat. That's all that was ever needed. She was just ahead of the game, and she was trained. She knew how to handle herself, and that was more believable than.
I view her as.
Go ahead.
I view her as Shang-Chi's little sister. How her father wouldn't train her, so she trained herself, and so she watched and learned how to do it herself. So because she wanted to go on that hunt, which I can't remember the exact word it was, but she wanted to go on the hunt. But I guess it wasn't really heard of for girls to do it. But her brother was like sort of. He wasn't against her doing it, but as all the other men in the village sort of did, like they're like, no, like Jordan said, we're not out here long enough for you to cook, and so I feel like she taught herself how to do all of it because she wanted to do what her brother did. So not so much maybe even if her brother or her father didn't really train her, more of seeing what they did, going out into the woods by herself and learning to defend herself, and then also with the French trappers there, and this being the time that it is, and how people. Were treated, I feel like she would have known some type of self-defense and then taught herself the rest.
I mean, that'd be ridiculous for them not to, like you're saying, it'd be ridiculous for people not to know self-defense in this time period, like even women included, like us, like just to be sexist and assume like, oh, they're women, they're just gatherers, they don't have any type of experience with combat. That'd be ridiculous to make that assumption.
Yeah, and I think to add on what Andrea said about Tabe knew deep down that she was right.
Mm-hmm.
He said
that.
He admits it. He's like, you know how I trapped the lion? I had to use your idea. You had already weakened it. You were right there. But previously, after he got the staff and got named the new war chief, he basically told her you failed. And I had to save you. That's why you can't go back out. But I think he felt he was dying right then and there. So in his last moments, he was going to admit the truth to her before they both met their unfortunate ends. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and give our final thoughts, and I'll talk a little bit about the callbacks we were mentioning. We will talk to you in a minute. Welcome back to the second half of the Askari cast. My name is Rod Van Blake, and I'm joined once again by Jordan Purnell Jackson.
Hey, everybody.
And Andrea Rose Washington.
Hello.
We are continuing our talk about Prey, released on Hulu on August 5th. It's up now. If you have a Hulu account, go stream that. It's an awesome movie. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the callbacks to the original. One of them is to the original Predator movie, where Tabe says, if it bleeds, we can kill it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the call. I think Carl Weathers, was that Arnold Schwarzenegger's character or Carl Weathers' character that says that one in the first Predator?
I thought it was Arnold.
Okay. Yeah, I think it is Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a callback. And then the other big callback at the end is we get the the flintlock pistol that's handed off, that Naru hands off to the head of the tribe when she comes back after killing the Predator, is an Easter egg from the second Predator movie, Predator 2, where Danny Glover's character is handed the pistol from the OG Predator who comes up when he follows the Predator onto the ship and kills. He's not killed him yet. He just had a little circular disc thing he shoves up in dude's stomach. He goes down, and then all of a sudden, a bunch of Predators just come out, reveal themselves, and he's like, "This is
who's next?"
That wasn't who's next. That was. I'm done. I can't beat all y'all. I just.
Yeah, but they respected him though. He got respect for that.
He didn't realize that. He didn't realize that at that moment though. In his mind, he was like, "Well, it's over." His life had to deal with one, and he hands him. He didn't hand. He chucks this rifle, and it says Raphael Adolini 1715 is the year inscribed on the flintlock pistol, which is the same one that she took off the French 14. Actually, the French dude that got his leg cut off gives to her actually in exchange for medical treatment for his leg, which didn't last.
Guy who knew Comanche.
Too long. Yeah. And that is actually a deep cut to a Dark Horse Comics, the Predator 1718. So, yeah.
Did you read that? Did you take a look at that comic?
I did not, and I'm not going to take credit for knowing this because I didn't have the comic. I was aware of it back in the day, but I actually found this on YouTube, a channel called Alien Theory. He's got a video called The Elder Predator 1718, where he basically reads off these portions where a predator comes in the 18th century and 1700s and comes upon these pirates basically arguing over some treasure that they took from the church, and the captain, who happens to be Raphael Adolini, is like, no, we can't take this. We're going to give this back to the church. And if we don't give this money to the church, then I'm not your captain. And they basically become mutineers, like, well, then you ain't my captain. And they all start fighting. He runs off into the jungle, and the predator is just watching all this happen. And when he comes upon the predator, they fight. And then for a brief moment, Captain Adolini and the predator stand back to back as the mutineers finally catch up to him, and they start fighting together. And of course, in the end, he dies. And right before he dies, he hands off, he says, take it, and gives the gun to the predator. And the predator, I guess, from 1715, or actually after this, because that was the thing I was thinking about, is if this happens later, I'm like, well, when did he get the gun? Because I don't know if it's kind of
when did the Predator in Predator 2 get the gun, or when did even the guy who dies in Prey get the gun?
If it's supposed to be chronological, then I'm wondering if Naru inadvertently doomed her Comanche tribe, because obviously the Predator has to come back at some point to get the gun.
That was my assumption too. My dad asked the same question. He was like, "So how did this happen?" I was like, I mean, I would assume a Predator came back, fought Naru or someone descendant of Naru, got the gun back, and then that was a trophy element. That was because we know Predators collect trophies, so
It's been handed back and forth between human and predator.
just passing it, just playing hot potato with this weapon between humans and predators is really funny now. I think about that, but that's probably what happened.
Appreciate you. I had a commenter, Kat, that I used to I was in high school with, commented via LinkedIn. Yeah, that's an interesting thing, man. So I'm like, is there going to be a Prey 2? Are we going to see them come back and have, like you said, is there going to be another conflict between the descendants of Naru? Offline, Jordan and I were kind of discussing where they could go with this, because obviously the predators keep coming back to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing they like.
We've seen the pictures of possibly having them come and fight the samurai during those times, but if you're talking about feudal Japan, that would be like 500, 600 years prior to 1718, if we're going to go into the heart of feudal Japan. Because of the connection. The connection you were thinking of was from the movie Predators, where you have the Yakuza member, right?
Yeah, Yakuza dude found this in that movie. He specifically finds a sword. He was like, "This is really old. Like this clearly has some historical significance." So my logic was like, "Oh, okay, y'all can just make a samurai movie." I don't know when y'all can pinpoint that, but I was like, I could easily see them making a samurai movie, but also because it's the Predator universe and it's sci-fi, it's ridiculous. They could literally do whatever they want to do. At this point, because a lot of things they leave are very open-ended, and in every movie they keep referencing someone references that this has been here before. Somebody kind of knows, so it's like at this point, whoever originally wrote the Predator was like, let's just leave these little Easter eggs and leave that kind of openness. So I think it could happen. There was somebody who posted an image on Instagram of like different Predator forms, like different artwork of just like an Egyptian one. Vikings, they had a samurai, they had probably more of a Celtic knight type version, and then it had me thinking. I was like, where would I want to see the Predator in this universe? And initially I was like, I kind of want the Egyptian one or the samurai one, either one. Like those
I vote samurai. I feel like that would be a great fight.
Everybody wants a
great fight.
It would be interesting, and I'd like it, and like you said, I'd watch it, but that's we get that all the time. I would set it 8,200 years after this one and go to South Africa during the time of the Zulus. And we get a version of either during the time of Shaka Zulu, we can have him with the Askari, the throwing spear, and the cowhide shield, or because he changed how warfare was fought then and made it shorter so that they'd have to come in close quarters combat. That's what I would. That's where I would have.
I think I'm gonna one up you on this one, Rod. If I get the time period right. So, hear me out. There's a lot of bloodshed. America wouldn't be ready for this, but hear me out. Let's see the time period. You said 80. You said 90. So it'll be 80 to 90 years, similar time. 1804, Haitian Revolution. That would be gruesome.
That would be gruesome,
and it would kind of mirror. Well, I don't know. There might have been some naval combat during the Haitian Revolution, but I mean, it would be gruesome and dark, and a predator could show up easily in that time period.
Possibly. The good thing I think they did here with Prey is that they have it set so that he comes in for a bit, but he doesn't necessarily affect what actually happens, timeline wise, because he's gone. And we can see the onset of the French frontiersmen coming through. And it's kind of funny that I think she doesn't know who is doing what at that point. Because that was kind of ugly. When she sees the bison.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was like, they really?
And then she saw that the snake had been skinned. Obviously, the predator did that one. So it was kind of a bit of a mystery at that point before she knew exactly what it was she was looking for in the area that was doing this. Until she gets caught by the trappers and sees, I think, the bear skin and what were hanging off the homies.
And the tobacco cigar he had, that was his kind of like,
she's like,
his moniker. And like, that's
y'all
him.
skin the bison. Like, you've been wasting all of our resources.
You just wasted this. Like, come on now. Like, this is typical colonizers. Like, come on, y'all. Jeez.
I will say, I do like how she used him at the end. Like, you don't even realize
that was hilarious.
That boy woke up.
That
no leg, missing a leg, and got the rats.
And the rats eating off of him. He's like,
like, you don't even realize I'm killing you.
And gave him the empty rifle.
Mm-hmm. Because now she knows how to use one.
Yeah. My boy thought he was going to get some get back, and you just basically dimed yourself out as a threat because the predator's going to see you as a threat. He knows what the weapons look like. Yeah, It's almost like the Dragon Ball Z like little thing that comes over the eyes. You see
Oh
like,
yeah, power levels.
but instead of power level, he just
What
rates.
happened?
Yeah, either you're a threat or you're not a threat. And a little triangle hits on, like, yeah, he's got the weapon and he's also okay. This is a man. We could take him out. It was kind of weird at the beginning how the Predator was kind of like watching the food chain. We didn't talk about that earlier.
Which is also really cool.
Starts with
That
the mouse, comes and snatches the insect, and then the snake comes and gets the mouse. And then later on, my thing was he never attacked the cougar, the mountain lion.
That's what. So
I was like the wolf. The wolf was a big predator, but the mountain lion I think would be just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than the wolf was.
Do you think that he detected? So do you think that he detected that, like, although this mountain lion was a predator to, I guess, the Comanche people, he still wanted to see if they could potentially take it out and size them up. So maybe he was just seeing it as some type of, tool to gauge them. That's why he probably didn't kill it.
That is possible.
Or maybe he's just letting things play out because they were already dealing with a mountain lion, and so he's like, let me see how they handle it.
Now, Rue tells them that she thinks the cat is hiding from the predator. She doesn't know what it is at that point, but she's like, it's hiding. So it's like a weird circular cat and mouse game between all of them.
And that could also be why he probably didn't go after it, because he only goes after things that attack. And so if the mountain lion saw him as a real threat and ran away, it may not be something that he wants to go after.
Yeah.
And the
wolf definitely turning hate hand. That was hilarious when the wolf runs into the invisible predator. He kind of shakes his head like, the hell was that?
And then immediately goes on to an attack. And so the
mountain, he was ready to maul man. So I was like, oh snap.
And so I feel like if the mountain lion didn't do that, then maybe he wasn't viewing it as a threat if it ran away. The bear, I thought the bear.
The bear was throwing hands. I was like, he was getting messed up by that bear. I was like,
the bear was mixing his ass up. He was mixing him like a record.
Pow, pow, pow. Just slammed him.
Yeah.
And then all Predator finally got that one hit in, clocked him, and then picked him. What I was confused about was, so when the Predator one hit KOs the bear, but then picks it up, I was noticing the blood dripping from the bear. So I'm thinking, I was like, did he just pick the bear up and kind of release his kind of claw thing and then cause the blood to drip over? It was a cool visual, but I was still very we just saw you pick this bear up. That's all I could see.
But remember, he's partially invisible at that point, so he probably did a long swipe and just picked him up at the same time. Yeah. Sort of like how he did to the wolf that jumped over him. He just sliced him. You don't even see. He turns around. He doesn't even realize he's hurt. He's walking.
Yeah, that was crazy. The wolf thought
something's not right, and his guts just pop up. Yeah, you ain't that. It's a wrap for you, buddy.
Sad, very sad.
A lot of animals are hard in this movie.
So as usually, you see they're setting us up for more. It'll be interesting to see what they give us when they give it to us. How long do you think it'll be?
What, till we get a sequel?
Yeah.
I heard this was one of the top was it the most highest viewed stream shows on Hulu. So I feel like logically they should make another one. I guess 2 years.
Yeah. When was the last Predator movie? The comedy one with
the comedy? Yeah, the action comedy. That was 2018.
Okay.
And then before that, I think 2010. Where did 2010 was Predators? When did Requiem AVP 2 come out?
Requiem came out in drum roll as I'm trying to read this. 2007.
Okay.
And then AVP, my favorite one, came out in 2003 or 2004. And then there was a couple in the 80s. Or there was one in the 80s, and then there was Predator 2.
It's based out every 3 years. It's 87 for Predator, and then I think the sequel came in 1999, right? 1990.
The year I was born.
Hopefully we get another That was 4 years before I was born.
One thing I like about this universe is that even though it could be a sequel, it doesn't mean it's going to be connected to any. It doesn't mean it'll be connected exactly to this movie. Like there'll probably be themes connected to it, but with every AVP, there's something thrown back to us. Like in Predator 2, you have the FBI guy talking about Predator 1 and why that's why he's on this case.
Yeah.
Then AVP is nothing connected to those two, but that you hear that they were here before. In Requiem, it's the Predator from AVP, but these people have nothing to do with, AVP. But then you have the movie Predators, and you have that one girl from, can't remember what country she was from, but she was like, my government in the 80s, there was an attack.
The IDF.
Each one's connected. So even if they do this one and it's set back in the past, like maybe 50 years later, it could be someone says, oh, I remember a story about this, but like it doesn't necessarily have to be connected exactly to the movie they just released, because they're all connected in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about, that is a direct connection, because they're all like hot potato and something within the one thing. It's just
they remind
might
you.
be a small morsel, but they're dropping some breadcrumb over from here to there to kind of loosely connect them. Like they're not like direct sequels or anything, but they are obviously connected in some way, shape, or form, and that I think is cool.
I like those universes because you can do those universes. It doesn't trap you into a box.
Yeah, I see that. I feel like I enjoy that. Like there are always these small nuggets of connections, because like I think, so I literally binged almost every specific Predator movie in the past 24 hours, and I was like, I caught the reference that the scientist in the Predator was a descendant of the FBI agent or FBI agent in what? Yes, they're both Keys. His name was Sean Keys, and the guy in Predator 2, his name was Christian
Keys or something like that?
Yeah, the same exact last name. I'm like, there's no coincidence. And they both know. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Clown.
No, I'm saying that movie, that Predator movie.
Yes. So the guy who's the scientist who gets murked, he got murked in that one. His name was Sean Keys, and I was like, wait, what? I'm like, he would have to be the son of Christian Keys, because they both know about the Predators. They clearly have access. So I was like, that's cool. So it was like all these little nuggets, and I'm like, I appreciate this, but part of me deep down inside I was like, I just want to see somebody come back. Just give it to me. He just give me. Well, they're not gonna ever do it, but it would have been so cool. Like it would have been interesting. It would have been nice to see, like, had they made a movie where they actually brought back Arnold in the past. Like that would have made sense, but they never did it. So I was like, okay, fine. But yeah, they're never gonna They're never gonna bring back the same characters, probably. It's not gonna happen. But I would like to see it happen. It'd be cool. It's an Easter egg.
Now that you say that, I would love to see one with Arnold and Sanaya, because they both had two vastly different but similar experiences. Like he ended up having to kill his predator, and she ended up having to work with her predator to get out of to escape the aliens. Even though the predator killed her entire crew and all of that, like all of her friends and everyone. At the end, it sort of ended like they were almost friends. Like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and for Arnold, she's the enemy. So like, there are different views of these.
What great interesting drama.
What? Yes. Would.
It's a long run though. Sanaya's character has a long run. She becomes one of the few like human predators in that universe.
Yeah, I gotta read the book.
She goes off with them.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The character based off of. Yeah.
The novelizations and comics. Yeah, she goes and she puts in work with them after a while. Like, and she basically got jumped in. You see her get jumped in. He gives her the homie scar on the face with the tag. Like she's part of the gang now. So yeah, she goes off and does. That would be weird. That would be kind of cool, I think, if she does come back, but with her crew, and then it's them and Alien again.
Like a crew of predators.
Against Arnold, because Arnold sees them as enemies, and there's no people.
She takes the helmet off at the end, and we realize it's Annihilates all along. Like, what? That would be wild. Now that would be a game changer. All right.
I don't know who I could root for.
They would have to. They couldn't. They would have to save it for the end. It has to be a plot. It has to be a reveal. They could not show us in the beginning because now you'd be like Andrea. We don't know who to root for.
Yeah, like
That would be wild. That would be
because I would still probably root for Sanaya because she was my favorite. I loved her. If they had just listened to her and the other guy who's an archaeologist, the entire movie wouldn't have happened. If they didn't touch, if they had left, if they took the training, and then they wouldn't have been there. They wouldn't have been sacrifices. If they didn't touch the guns and lift them up and take them out when the guy said, no, don't touch them, and the dude deliberately looked him in the face and picked up the gun, they all would have survived. All would have survived.
Jordan.
Yes.
Your boy Dylan is tripping.
What'd he say?
He just said the new movie was basic. Prometheus 2, please.
Wait. Was basic? Read that last line again. Sorry, read that back.
The new movie was basic. Prometheus 2, please.
No.
Whoa, no. We gotta leave Prometheus and Covenant and Alien Covenant alone. Or
Those are
that
highbrow. Those don't exist in this universe.
Leave those foolish. Those movies are highbrow, but they did not execute properly. I'm sorry, but Prey was fire. Prey was fire. It fits very well in the series. I rank it highly. It was amazing.
I do too. I rank it pretty high. I rank this one pretty high among all the Predator films.
So Andrea,
not the highest, but I do rank it high.
If it was what's everyone's ranking? I guess top 5. I feel like we need to leave AVP and Alien vs Predator in its own standalone thing. I don't count those. They're just no. They're amazing and they are they're a spinoff. They're like their own thing and they're already great. So we don't need to talk about them. We really need to rank the Predator movies. We have to.
But AVP's my favorite.
I know they are, but that's too easy. That's your number one. No, that's way too easy. And that's Alien versus Predator. Separate. We came here for the Predators. The Predator. So you got to rank them, or you die tomorrow. You gotta go.
Oh wow!
You die tomorrow.
If you don't rank them, Predator's coming for you.
Oh my gosh! Can I go last? Because
fine, go.
I literally don't know how not to rank
AVP in there. You trying to?
Yes.
All right, let's give her time to calculate the balance of scales.
I gotta go Predator, Prey,
okay.
Predator 2, Predators, and then that comedy BS. I guess would be the 5th one. Get that up out of here. That's dead last.
Yeah, of course. That has to be dead last. I'm gonna do. I'm tempted to throw a curveball here. I'm gonna go Prey.
Okay.
Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. The Predator. The Predator. Predators. Predator 2, and then the goofy one, the Predator, as last.
The comedy.
Yeah, the comedy. The comedy. We're gonna all leave it last. I don't know. The first 4 I said they all are very close and do something very different. But for me, the Prey was very well executed. And kind of course corrected, or it kind of brought different solutions to the problems that Arnold had, and it was an improvement for me. So.
Okay.
Back to you, Andrea.
Gosh darn it. Okay, so you really just sort of cut my legs out. Then I would have to say I liked so then it'll be because I'm ranking them all by if I connected with the character, if I cared about if the character died or not.
There you go.
Okay.
It's all senseless violence.
I know, but I need to know if I didn't care that anyone died, I didn't care about the movie. So for me it's probably Predator 2. Then I'm looking at them all on the list right now. Then the Predator, then Prey, then Predator 1, then the Predator.
You said the Predator.
Predators.
Predator.
So whichever one the comedy one is last for me, and the other I said the Predator would have been the one where they're all on the hunting ground.
That's Predators.
So, Predator 2, The Predators, Prey,
Predator.
and then the last one, other one that came out, the comedy one.
Okay.
Okay. We're all consistent. That
Fair
trash is
enough.
trash. That was
I
trash.
didn't think it was trash, but it just didn't fit the universe.
It was doing too much.
It was doing a lot.
It was doing way too much. I was like, I rewatching today. I was like, yo. First of all, we have like kind of too many like unnecessary. There's like too many characters. That movie
way
suffered
too
from
many
way too many
characters.
characters that they wanted us to care about, and I was like, okay,
Hmm.
that's a no for this universe. And then like it felt like we were like we were hopping between too many like perspectives and points, and like we got to follow the sniper guy's son and figure out his he has the gauntlet and do all has his own little thing. Then Sterling K Brown, did I get that right?
Yeah, he was
He's
annoying.
just he's hilarious. Like he was also hilarious, which is weird. And he has his own like motivations. It was just doing too much. I'm like, I can't. And then kept making us laugh all the time. Like I can't with this movie. I can't.
Well, but you knew that was going to happen when you cast Keegan Michael Key. Like, you're not
Exactly.
unless you're changing up to do something serious. More than likely, you're going to bring him on to bring the funny.
Yeah,
and that's kind of weird juxtapositions, which can work if that's what your overall game plan is. But it's going to become slapstick and heads lopping off. It's like, come on, man.
And then also, I found Danny Glover's character to be mad comical in Predator 2. Like, I couldn't take him seriously because they kept setting him up in the same scenario of he clearly has fear of heights. So we're clearly going to put him in every scenario where he has issues with climbing things. And I'm like, this is hilarious. Like, why y'all doing this to my mans? But
yeah, no, the funniest part of that movie is when he runs into the apartment and the old white lady comes out.
The old lady?
Don't worry, I'm the police. And she's like, I don't think he gives a shit.
Yeah, that was so funny. I was like, yo. And it took me years. It took me till today to finally finish Predator 2, and it was way more rewarding to see that gun at the end because I'm like, oh, it's all connected. I was like, yes. And then I was like, oh, also, I imagine if I was alive in the 80s and was able to watch the 1990 movie and the films, it would have been cool to be like, there are more Predators. Oh my god, we got different armor types. This is amazing. Like that movie was cool. That movie was cool. That movie was cool.
For make sure I say it correctly, the Predator, the one with Keegan Michael Key, the reason that really sort of irked me was Nebraska dying. Nebraska's death was
he had the magical Negro death.
I was really so mad about his death because it's unlike the other guy who got cut in half by accident. Because that sucks.
The force field chopped his legs off. I'm like, you don't see this force field forming. You just gonna stay there.
Yourself into the engine basically, and because he had the best one-liners when the guy was like, "We gotta get into something that moves." He's like, "Dude, it's a bus. It moves." Like he had the best one-liners. His character was chill and he held everything together. It was like, we're in the arm. We're going to do this. We're going to save this kid's son. And then for him just to die like that, I would have loved him being shot or killed by any other way. But for him just to sacrifice himself, I was like, no. And this was part of the one movie where they didn't go back to like how everyone else went back to primitive methods to win. They didn't have to do that in this one, and they sort of like left the formula, and I didn't really like that. Because it was like the Predator now was trying to help humans, but still was killing them instead of just giving them everything. But he like defected. It just didn't really make too much sense to me. Like it was entertaining, but like the storyline didn't make sense because he was moving to bring the humans something to protect them. But when he woke up, he was killing everyone. And he got there, he was killing them. But you were trying to save them?
I had to rewatch the first 5 minutes of that movie because they did a thing you're not supposed to do in movies. If you look at different shots, the sniper guy, he puts the gauntlet on, which I was like, where'd this gauntlet come from? How did he just know how to use? That was another annoying part of the movie. Things were happening with the gauntlet. He just goes with it. He has no real control of it. So to bring up Mary Sue, which you brought up earlier, that white dude was getting away with, like, it was like the story was meant for him for anything to happen. Like the gauntlet would activate, it attacked the Predator he had no control. I'm like, so this is bull, but he puts on the gauntlet with his left arm, and then in one shot it switches to his right. And I'm like, come on, y'all better than that.
Yeah, that's just a mistake right there.
I'm like, y'all did a mistake. I'm like, this is how I knew this movie was gonna destined to fail. They already
He's like,
messed up.
we got a reshot, and he just put it back on the wrong arm when he went back.
Exactly. I'm like, come on, y'all. You have a person you hire to make sure that doesn't happen.
Hey, if they can find Starbucks cups in Game of Thrones scenes,
oh, that was so funny.
Going in the wrong hand is a bit of a small one. And also, so there are differences. Also, if you go back to the video I was telling you all about on Alien Theories channel about the Elder Predator 1718, he gives us a reading of the novelization from Predator 2, where the end kind of ends. There's a different ending, only that he's not the one who actually kills the Predator in the ship. The OG Predator comes in, and they have the same thing where they all surround the lieutenant from the police, and basically homeboy's like, yeah, he's not dead though at that point. He's lost the fight obviously, but the price for failure, he reads it off where the older Predator comes up, and the other Predator looks at him. He like shows him his throat, and old boy just chops his head off, and that's how he actually dies. And then when they're leaving, that's when he turns around and throws the gun to him, like, take this old Daniel Boone gun as a reward, and we'll see y'all later. And it gives the thing is the difference mainly, aside from killing the Predator, the other Predator killing the Predator itself, was that Danny Glover's character gets a moment to kind of sit and reflect and try and guess at the significance of this gun. Like especially when you see the inscription on it, 1715, like, oh, they've been here for a long ass time, or they keep coming back for a long time. And it's kind of rushed in the film. You know, he looks at it for a hot second, then
comes out the ash, the explosion happens. Happens. He comes out that sewage pipe or whatever.
Yeah, he got to haul ass out the ship, or else he's going with them wherever they're going. He don't want to be on there when it leaves the planet.
And it's interesting you brought up the decapitation, because they actually did that in Predator. I think it was Predators, where they actually got into the hierarchy of the different predators, and so we got to see like the one dude, he did cut the smaller predator dude's head off, which was like, oh, okay.
Did you notice the healing montage that we got in Prey, where the simultaneous I
like his super glue. I like his super glue better than Homeboy from the second one.
And Naru is actually healing herself from getting her foot stuck in the bear trap at the same time.
Yep.
That was kind of cool. Mirror images of both of them healing, like they're getting ready to continue this battle. She's trying to heal her wounds, and he's this weird little super glue gun he's got there. Just
his tactical kit was much better than the guys and the one dudes in the second one. He had that plate, the blue fire, and then he was putting that stuff on his body like
the mirror. Then he crunched and then
he turned it into
smashed the mirror in the bathroom, and then crunched the stuff up and then melted it to make him goop. And obviously it shit hurt because he screamed.
He's screaming all through the city. Everybody's the old white lady. Somebody's in the bathroom. So there's a burglar or drug addict in your bathroom. Nope, it's a giant.
This was a fun one. Thank you guys once again for taking the time out to discuss these things. Let me see here. Evangeline, Dylan, Ramon Jones, and I think there's one more person watching. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day to catch us on live. We'll be back again some Thursday next week. So don't forget to check the Askari cast out. We'll be uploading the audio from this to Anchor. It'll go out to iTunes, Google Cast, Spotify, and other places where podcasts are broadcast from. Andrea, give a shout out to your other podcast.
Trek and Beyond, a Star Trek podcast. Explore strange new worlds with us.
There you go. Live long and prosper with them. Monica Pinkett and Andrea Rose Washington. They also have a podcast everywhere where Anchor podcasts are broadcast. We will be talking to you all next week. Thanks again. I'll let you later.
Peace.